Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all had fun with our first activity of defining what Earth is according to the Bible and comparing it to the modern heliocentric version that most of us have grown up being taught and believing in. That was something that I never thought I would be doing, is refuting that. However, it has brought a lot of joy to me in the last 7 years, and I hope that the answers you find here will bring a lot of joy and clarity to you as we embark on this creation investigation together. And so the standards now for today that we're going to be focusing on is standard 1B, where we are exploring the origins of why and how this truth was lost and hidden in recent times. This is something that is extremely recent. It doesn't go as far back as I was told it does. And so there are some key figures and key people. I'm not going to take this and use it as a chance to talk about every single organization that's behind the lie and just, point fingers at different groups. That's not what this is about. This is going to be a brief overview. You all will be using this information to guide your research in the future, and I don't want to rob you of that fun, because researching this has been the most fun that I have had in my scientific journey in this life ever. In fact, it's caused me to do way more science than I ever thought I would do. I thought that the scientific method and all the things I was learning in school would just be used in school. However, it has paid off big time because it's helped me prove all things, and it's guided me to a place of greater understanding of who we are and what we live on, as well as who our Creator is and what His plan is for us. And so I hope this does that for you all as well. And so to begin our creation investigation, I want to first look at the conclusion we came to about Earth's definition the first time around with our first activity of defining what Earth is according to the Bible, because we found out that it's just dry land. However, from the time that that definition was given, a lot has happened, and we went from Earth being immovable, dry land with a firmament above it, to a world that is moving at speeds that are hundreds of times faster than a bullet around the sun, in this pressurized environment and a vacuum that just seems to have all the answers when you first look at it as a young child, but when you question it and put it to the test, things don't always add up. So that's what we're going to be seeing with our scientific journey here. But the very first things that I remember learning about the globe is what I want to look at, because you're going to see these same things. If you ever go into a public education system like I was in, you're going to be told things like our ancient ancestors were pretty dumb and they believed that the earth looked like this, a flat disc that you could just fall off the edge of, sail your boat off, and they were afraid to go exploring because they thought they would fall off the edge. That's literally what I was taught. I was never taught the truth about what they believed, because the truth, when you actually look into it, is that they all believed in the firmament, the great expanse, day 2 of creation. Even Christopher Columbus, who was taught to me as the person that proved the earth was a globe by circumnavigating, was someone who actually quoted a text to Esdras, which was in the original King James. It's now also known as the 4th book of Ezra. He was quoting this to get funding for his journeys, and this book actually has verses that talk about the firmament founded on the waters and a lot more land than what we're being told. And so you have that account that contradicts the whole flat disk model that we have been fed our entire lives. They want you to ignore the firmament. You will not hear about the firmament in school, not even in church, sadly. And I'm not saying your church leaders and people are lying to you intentionally. They just don't know about it. It's been hidden so well that it's right in front of our faces. It's in the Bible at the very beginning. However, we did not see day 2 of creation for what it was because of what we were taught in school. So we learned to read and write, we learned what Earth was, and then we were given a Bible most of the time. Some of you may be more fortunate than others, but that's how it worked with me. And I did not realize that this firmament, which was the only structure that our Father made on day 2, also was used on day 3, when the Father removed water in order for earth to appear. That water had to go somewhere, and the book of Jubilees tells us that it went outside the firmament. Remember, there was a great flood, and there was waters above the firmament that came down. Well, some of those waters were once covering the earth, because on the very, very beginning of the creation chapter, it says that our Father was moving above the face of the waters. Okay? Once he removed them waters, that dry land appeared. Quite interesting to see it that way. And then you see on day 4 of creation that he placed the sun, the moon, and the stars inside the firmament. So 3 days of creation this structure was involved with, and we read past it. And so we're not going to be reading past it anymore. We're going to be looking at it. We actually have footage of it that we'll be examining throughout this course. But the truth about this firmament would be impossible to hide if there weren't some drastic measures taking place. And so to do that, they would have to put in treaties, which they have, that prevent people from exploring. But this wouldn't be something that they could do alone. World powers would have to work together on this, and they have. They've worked together peacefully on guarding the ice wall surrounding us. And a lot of people say, show us footage of the ice wall. Well, the ice wall is not a conspiracy thing. This is something that modern day explorers have seen. Many people have seen the ice wall. The ice wall is not the firmament. The ice wall is more like a shelf, a shoreline of Antarctica. It's one of the highest continents on Earth. And so that surrounds the world, the known world that we know of, and is somewhere closer to where that firmament is founded on the waters. It would be really cool to explore that area. For now, we aren't allowed to. This may be something that we don't get to explore in our lifetime, but we'll get to see all of the answers really soon during that 1,000-year reign that's coming up that we're all trying to prepare for. And so when that happens, we're going to have many answers, and this will make a lot more sense. And also, the fact checkers will be silenced when the Messiah returns, and literally every eye sees him when he returns. That's one big thing to think about. And so going back to the flat earth model that they said was debunked because of not only being an edge that you can fall off of, but having people circumnavigate it, was definite proof that it was a globe. That is the story that I was told. However, when you actually look at circumnavigation, it's quite different. And so we have a breakdown here by Mr. David Weiss using a flat surface and a compass and a flat earth map. It's something that you guys can do at home. You can do this and repeat it. However, you cannot repeat this on a beach ball or a ball of any kind, because once you're no longer holding a compass flat, it doesn't work the same. Its orientation is based on where the magnetic pole is, and so a compass works only when held flat, and also magnets only work when they are at a good temperature. If you superheat a magnet, it no longer works. And the core of our Earth is said to be magma, but it's also said to be magnetic. They say it's like there's a giant bar magnet going through our entire Earth, and that's how the magnetic poles work. However, superheating magnets is something you can do as well in a lab to prove that they lose their ability to function. So that's one part of our history they try to use to prove the globe. However, focusing on that proof proves that the surface we're using these compasses on is flat. Other proof that goes hand in hand with the circumnavigation is one that they push back before Christ. This is someone called Eratosthenes. This guy gets brought up every time you talk to someone in the education world who believes in the globe and tries to debate you. They're going to bring up this guy and say that he, way before NASA, had proof that there was curvature and that he measured the radius of the Earth and the circumference of the Earth. However, his experiment would have worked and proved the globe if our sun rays looked like this. But they don't. We have a local sun, and the sun rays are not coming down parallel and straight lines, or like I said, we would have thousands upon thousands of photos like this, but instead we have millions and millions of photos that look like this because that sun is extremely close. Far closer than 93 million miles away. And not only that, if it was straight lines, if these were coming in exactly straight lines, which they're not, but if they were, mathematicians agree that you could get the exact same results with a local light source, a local sun, and a flat surface, as well as a curved surface and a distant sun. And so both of those would work. The math is the same. That's literally the words of Neil deGrasse Tyson and a couple of others out there who are pushing the globe model. But according to Eratosthenes, this table here is curved. We know from using kitchen tables that they're flat. This is a standard round. Believe it or not, this kitchen table is round and not like a ball. A table is actually considered round. So if somebody says the earth is round, just tell them, yes, your table is round, and you can put a firmament on top of it and more accurately represent what we believe in. And so here is a really good visual of that. You can use a laser to prove that this surface is flat if you think that it's still curved, and prove that it's flat. And this is one of those things that people are doing all the time. And so that's the given narrative that we've known since Eratosthenes. However, when you look back to just the 1900s, not that long ago, I was alive in the 1900s. Sounds like ancient times now. But the 1900s was when flat earth was still taught in schools. I did not know that. But thankfully, we have the same guy that was showing you circumnavigation, Dave Weiss, talking to someone who was over 100 years old. Here is a segment of that conversation.
All right, tell me your name.
Ruth Heath.
Ruth, and how old are you today?
102.
102. So you were born in
1918.
1918. And we were just talking, and I asked you what shape the Earth is, and what did you say? What were you taught in school in elementary school?
I was taught in school that the Earth was flat.
And then what do you remember when they changed it to a globe?
Well, when they changed it, I remember when they changed it, but I can't remember the date or anything like that.
And did you believe them?
Yes, I did.
You did. Now,
I was young.
Right, and we all were told by people that we trust.
That's right.
You said that you're religious, that
yes.
you follow the Bible.
Yes, I do.
And are you aware that the Bible is all about the flat Earth? That there's over 200 verses in the Bible that refer to a flat Earth.
That's right.
And I think there's only one verse that mentions Earth as a circle. But just like this table right here, that table is a circle,
right,
but it's flat.
That's right.
Right. A circle is different than a sphere. A sphere is the same in every direction.
That's right.
The circle of the Earth. So how does it make you feel to realize that you were right as a kid?
It makes me feel better.
It does make you feel better, right?
Oh, it makes me feel alive.
Oh my God, that is so true. My whole life, I believed,
yes.
What I was taught.
That's
and then
right.
when I discovered the flat Earth,
I feel better about it.
Because we are the center of creation.
That's right.
We are important.
That's right.
We are here.
We are God's children.
Excellent.
Yes.
I will,
I believe in God. I trust God. And when all the problems that are happening in this world today,
I'll give you some good news. A lot of the problems that they report on the news aren't even real.
That's right. That's right.
They're just keeping us in fear.
Keeping up. That's right. That's right. That's right. I understand that. I understand they just say what they want people to know. They don't care about the Bible. They don't care about life. They only care about I, me, myself, and I. It's a different world.
So the globe deception that a lot of people say, and I believe, is literally by Satan to hide God and
That's
make
right.
people selfish
That's right.
and self-centered and not care and think that there's no consequences for their actions.
Right. I pray every night before I go to bed. And one night things weren't happening right. And I sat up in bed and I said, God, where are you? I need you right now. And I'm beginning to wonder, where is God?
God's right above us in the clouds. The heavens are right here. That's all that there is. And there's not infinite space. Did you know, wait, let me ask you a question, just switching topics a little bit, that we never went to the moon, that was all fake?
Is that right?
That's correct.
I saw that all happening.
Yeah, so did I, and we all believed it, but that was just to reinforce that people to believe they can live on a ball and they could walk on a ball. Nobody's ever been to space because space doesn't exist. There is no space. There's just this world.
Oh, it's such a lie.
It's such a lie, but knowing the lie is like going to a magic
I
show.
woke up.
Yes, that's what we call it. We call it red. This is your moment of waking up. It's when you go to see a magician and you know how the tricks are done, and the magic no longer works on you, and you're free from the illusion. So knowing this is going to free your heart.
Cry.
Yeah, it's okay.
It makes me cry.
Happiness.
Yes.
Tears of joy.
Yes. Yes. I know that we were true, and they're hiding us.
Yes, it's good though.
It's good.
It's very good.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
I'm awake.
Yes.
I'm awake.
And wow, I hope that was as emotional for you as it was for me. This is someone that's over 100 years old, finding out that what they were taught as a child was true, and that our Father is close. People say this truth doesn't matter, but that is proof otherwise right there in real time. So I'm blessed that the Father worked out that conversation so that we can see someone at her age see the truth, and also reveal to us that we've been lied to about how old the flat earth concept is. Even in newspapers, we see articles as people do some digging about the shape of the earth being a topic of debate in the 1890s. And so people talking about it, of course it's more of a hit piece, but they are drawing it out just like they do in modern day media. They're not putting a firmament above it, just drawing it out and saying this is what some people believe in and making fun of them, just like you see today. So some things never change, but to put us on a heliocentric model, going back even further in time. This goes back to Copernicus and his role and some of the key figures after that helped perpetuate that lie is something we're not going to get into yet, but we're going to look at that word heliocentric. Vocabulary is important, and this word here actually can be broken into two parts. Helio, which is short for the sun god Helios, and centric, which means centered around. And so this model that was made by Copernicus was centered around allegedly the sun, but as we can see in the name, it's giving honor to the sun god Helios. Why is that a big deal? Well, if we look back at history, of course, even the Bible talks about the worshiping of the sun and how it's extremely hurtful to our Father for him to see people doing that. We look back at just ancient statues. 400 BC, we've got Helios. 280 BC, the Colossus of Rhodes. This is going to be important here in a little bit. 100 BC, 100 AD, 1 to 200 AD, you have Alexander the Great as Helios. the Roman sun god Sol Invictus, looking a lot like Helios here. Again, 200 AD. And then the 1400s, of course, you have this version of the sun god who looks extremely familiar, a lot like Albert Einstein, the one who just happened to invent the theory of relativity in order to keep the globe alive. He seems to be mimicking that depiction from the 1400s of the sun god Helios. Could just be a coincidence. I'm finding out that there's not as many coincidences as it seems. These things are for a reason. Here's a darker image from 1795 of Satan summoning his legions. And then you compare that to the modern day new Colossus. Remember I said the old Colossus is going to be significant? We now have the new Colossus, which is known as the Statue of Liberty, and it just happens to look like a copy and paste of that much older picture of Satan. So there's definitely some dark undertones of some sun god worship going on. We can see that with just the statues that we have made important in modern day times, as well as the ones seen throughout time. And so that's why that word heliocentric has more than just one meaning. It doesn't just mean a model where Earth isn't at the center. It's a model where their sun god is at the center. And so most of you might be thinking, well, I never called it the heliocentric model. I called it the solar system. That's what I called it. However, that word can also be broken down into two parts, with the prefix Sol being short for Sol Invictus, the Roman sun god that we saw one statue of, and the suffix AR means belonging to. So you literally have a system that belongs to their sun god. So no matter which term we use, it's not about the sun, it's about their sun god. And so that's what these powers of darkness want. They want us believing that, getting away from the Father's truth, and breaking the second commandment. One that part of it tells us to not even make graven images of things that are in heaven, which remember he called the firmament heaven, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Well, when we look at the solar system, is there water under the earth there? No, because the earth is just dry land. It's not a planet. And so when I was a child making these, I didn't even know that I was making models of things in the firmament. I did not know that I was helping the foundation of the lie grow in my mind, but it was, and it seemed so innocent. And so that's how we came to this belief, and it's out of innocence. And so one thing I want you to take away from this short lesson is that most teachers love the children. I am currently a public educator, and I love the children that I have. When I started teaching over 15 years ago, I started out with a globe in my hand, teaching earth science to 6th graders. I did not know any better. And when you read the Bible and you look at our Father's mercy, there was always atonement made for sins done in ignorance. Not the intentional sin, but the ones that were unintentional. And so you see that even in the New Testament, in the book of Hebrews, coming back again, that willingly sinning is not good. There's no atonement made for that. And that is why there is forgiveness for those of us and those of you who have taught this, believed in this. The Father has a lot of great mercy for us. He knows we're growing up in a world that is deceived. The world has always been deceived throughout history. When you look at the biblical characters, there were usually them being the ones who believed in truth, with most of the world, if not all of the world, being under a grand delusion, a deception of some sort, worshiping false gods. And so this journey is going to take us away from that and understand that, again, not everybody is in on the lie. Even NASA. A lot of people like to jump on that bandwagon and saying NASA lies and just targeting them, while meanwhile, most of the people in this mission control room are just staring at a computer screen, thinking they're making the world a better place, thinking that the ISS really has people in it. They believe 100% what they are doing is good and pure. Just like the people back with the Apollo mission staring at these little screens here. They're not doing anything. They're pushing buttons. They're being told things to do. It doesn't require a lot of people in on a deception when it's compartmentalized. However, with NASA, I do want to say that they don't always lie either, especially when you go back and look at some of their documents. They tell you things like this, that a missile position in space is computed relative to a flat, non-rotating Earth. Imagine if you believed in the flat, non-rotating Earth along with the rest of the world, and you found a document that said they have to calculate motion and curvature. You would probably want to investigate that. However, we're on the other end, and people look at us like we're crazy when we quote these things. But it's not our words. Sometimes it's the very own foundations that we think we're fighting against that require a flat, non-rotating Earth to do the things that they do. Plane flight, for example, requires that. There is even documents as far back as 1949 that are declassified by the CIA that speak of the shape of Earth not being known. And even mention, guess what? The firmament. Over what? A flat Earth. So we have still those same assumptions of a flat Earth and them looking at points of the firmament. So 2-in-1 right here, 2-in-1 combos. But the powers that shouldn't be will want you to believe that they are just peacefully guarding ice. And so we're going to be looking at some of these things as we go on with this journey. Why is it that we see certain things that we do? And with the history of this, you'll notice that throughout history, world powers don't usually get along. But when it comes to guarding Antarctica, they get along quite well. And those same world powers get along with another thing, and that is space travel. That's why they call it the International Space Station. They are happy, smiling people holding hands, but that's the things they agree on peacefully until recent times. Sadly, in your lifetime, you're seeing other things happen that world powers are agreeing on. And there's a purpose to that. It is biblical. And you guys will have to endure some persecution for your beliefs on that as well. Not going to get into that aspect of it with what's going on and what's about to possibly ramp back up. But this brief little lesson on how they lie is not complete without the why. And so the why is a big deal. Not going to get into all of it because it is spiritual, but as the spiritual aspect can be summarized here in 1 John 2:22, is that there's a spiritual battle, and they are referred to here as the Antichrists, or the spirit of the Antichrist, as you see in 1 John 4:3. But in 2:22, it says, "Who was a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the anointed one, or the Christ? He is Antichrist, that denieth the Father and the Son." And so this heliocentric model, this Big Bang that was invented by a Jesuit priest, is one of those that denies the Father. And if you eliminate the Father, it's like that movie Back to the Future. What happens when you alter the Father's creation account? The Son starts to vanish. You stop having that beloved Son. And so that spirit of the Antichrist is all about removing both of them. And there's some crafty ways to do that. And one of those is to create false means of creation like evolution and a Big Bang model that doesn't require a creator speaking things into existence, making the firmament, setting the lights in the firmament, and having us at the center of creation. So that is the most simplistic version of why that I can give. I believe you all will find way more answers and have fun doing so, because this journey can be a lot of fun. And so I look forward to seeing your investigation as it unravels and the joy that you have along the way. And maybe some of the things that you all learn, you can teach us and teach others and show us through your experiments how you can prove that this world is immovable, that the sun is far closer than they tell us it is, and that the surface of what we live on isn't curved to the degree that we are told it is. So we're going to have fun with this. Again, remember that not everyone is in on this lie. So be kind to those who are under the deception, just like we stated at the very beginning of our last video when we were talking about the rules. and we'll end by looking at what it says here in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, where it says, "Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Yahuwah. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness." So the wisdom of this world is foolish to him, and it's foolish to him for a reason, because he made this world, and the things that people are saying about it are quite laughable when you investigate them, because the wisdom of this world is far different than what the Father's wisdom is. So, hope you guys had fun with this little history journey. There's far more to it, like we said, and we will explore that as we go. Feel free to ask questions. If you have questions about anything you've seen here or seen any mistakes I've made, send us an email. Feel free to do that. Our phone number is also on the website. The standards are linked in the description if you're wanting them, and they're also on the website. So have fun this year. That's what this is about, a free sample of things to come. Next year is going to be a lot more in depth for sure, because I'll try to devote all my time to this and not be working another job all day and trying to devote what's left to this. But love you guys. The Father loves you, and we'll see you around real soon.